Hey, you ever want to play your favorite anime character in a tabletop RPG and the system would, kind of let you do it, but not really? Well, then you should play Worlds of Myth. Welcome to MythTube, where we build your favorite anime characters in Worlds of Myth. What is Worlds of Myth, you may ask? Well, Myth is a tabletop RPG that I designed to allow you to build the over-the-top characters you only find in shonen battle anime. Characters like Naruto, Deku, Meliodas, and Ken Kaneki are all examples of characters this game can easily let you build. The game is in late beta right now, so you can head on over to worldsofmyth.net and download a free PDF, and you can also download a variety of other supplements. Yeah, for free. My goal is to spread awareness of the game before its official launch, and I want as many of you as possible to have fun playing it. You can also head on over to our Discord at Sinister Jester Worlds of Myth, where you can talk all things about the game, find a group to play with, or check out some of the other games we're testing. But without further ado, let's talk about who we're building today. So today we are building Asta from Black Clover, and this is a newer show. Well, I mean, it does have 4 seasons, but it's newer than some of the other classics that I've been covering so far. But I've been really enjoying watching this with my teenage brother, who is obsessed with it. It just feels so good to know your weebness has successfully corrupted the next generation. If you haven't seen this series yet, it's a story about an underdog who, despite being mocked and misunderstood by everyone, still dreams of becoming the Wizard King. He's also got a demon inside of him that grants him unique powers that makes him invaluable tactically despite his otherwise underdog nature. And he's got an angsty, dark-haired, cool guy rival who is good at everything, and a tsundere/moe love interest triangle going on. It's a completely original, who am I kidding? It's Naruto. Basically, Asta is Naruto, but less annoying. A little. Yuno is Sasuke, but less of a douche canoe, who in his own weird kind of way really does respect Asta. And Noelle is basically Sakura, just less of a... and actually has romantic feelings for the main character. But none of this is necessarily a bad thing. More reskinned Naruto is still pretty freaking cool, and Black Clover has some of the coolest animated fights I've ever seen. Just amazing, just kissy Italian face perfecto, just the best. Right up there with the Fate franchise, and maybe even better with some fights. More than that, it just has the coolest opening and ending song. They put so much budget into these things. So yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, go and watch it. It's a really fun ride. As for our main character for today, first let's go over which version of Asta we will be building. So we will not be building the current manga Asta. I haven't read the manga, I don't want to read the manga, Jake, no spoilers. The version of Asta we will be building is the one that fought alongside Yami against Dante at the end of Season 4, just before he tamed his devil. Going over his abilities in a world where your station is determined by how much magic energy you have, Asta has absolutely no mana. None. Not a drop. So far, he seems to be the only human character like this. To compensate, he trained his body to ridiculously levels, basically meaning he is a short little beefcake with ridiculous strength, speed, reflexes, and durability. Like most shonen protagonists, he is also quite dumb, but he also has an unbreakable spirit and drive to win. He possesses a 5-leaf grimoire with a devil inside of it that allows him to use anti-magic by summoning various anti-magic swords. If Asta hits an opponent with one of these swords, their mana will be depleted, and if he completely depletes their mana, he can usually knock them out. His signature Demon Slayer sword has the ability to cut magic with its sharp edge and reflect magic with its flat side. He can also pump his blade up with extra anti-magic to make it bigger, call it to him, or even ride it like a hoverboard. His Demon Dweller's sword has the ability to devour mana, and Asta can use it to fire off blade beams of either anti-magic or magic of the same type that the blade has devoured. The Demon Destroyer's sword has a magic deleting effect so potent that it can even remove after effects of spells such as curses and reincarnations. And finally, Asta has the Demon Slasher Katana, which he created by infusing his Captain Yami's katana with anti-magic using his devil arm. Speaking of which, Asta has made a deal with his devil in order to replace his arm with an anti-magic arm that can infuse items he touches with anti-magic. It's not known exactly what resource anti-magic pulls from, but it seems to pull from something, as Asta has been shown to get worn out from overusing the ability in the past. Possibly his most powerful ability is his signature Devil Possessed mode, which allows him to draw a greater portion of his devil's anti-magic power from out of his grimoire. But the strain it puts on his body means that he can't maintain this form indefinitely and can only use it a few times per day. While in this form, his stats get a huge boost and he gains the ability to fly. Finally, Asta has the ability to use Ki, which allows him to sense the life energy of those he is fighting and gives him a sixth sense to predict their incoming attacks. So what level does that put him at? Well, Worlds of Myth is divided into 6 tiers of power with 5 levels between each, which we will correlate to the Black Clover universe. Tier 1, or levels 1 through 5, are for your junior magic knights or cadets who just joined and are still learning how to use their powers. Tier 2, or levels 6 through 10, is for your intermediate magic knight characters. Tier 3, or levels 11 through 15, is for your senior magic knights or vice captains. Tier 4 is where I'd put the Magic Knight captains and probably the Wizard King, as their powers might be different a bit in level, but they all seem like they're in the same ballpark. Tier 5 is where legendary magic casters would be, like Lich or the first Wizard King, and probably Dante and Vonica. And then Tier 6 is for like your final boss types. I'd probably put Zagrid here in low mid 6th tier, as it took multiple captains and 2 5th tiers to take him down. But we'll probably see more entries from high-ranking devils in this tier in the future, and maybe even Xenon from the Dark Triad, though we don't really know the full extent of his power yet. Asta dealt the final blow to Zagrid, but he had a lot of help. He's also taken on characters I would consider 5th tier in 2v1s, and either managed to survive against them or outright defeated them. As he is in the story now, he doesn't seem to be as strong as Yami or Julius, but he could probably defeat any of the other captains in a 1v1. For that reason, I'm gonna put him at high 4th tier as a level 19. Going over our level 1, this is Asta when he first got his 5-leaf grimoire, but still hasn't officially become a magic knight yet. For our level 1 stats, we'll go with the shonen protagonist spread. This means we're getting 4 speed, 4 power, 4 skill, 1 cunning, and 4 heart. For our race, you are a human, but you're like an anti-magic human, so we'll go with the beta race Netherman. As stated in my previous videos, all races are subject to change until the game officially launches, but beta races are extra subject to change just because they haven't had as much time to be tested yet and often break the mold with some of my more tried and true formulas. Nethermen are the anti-magic race, so they are perfect for representing Asta. As a Netherman at level 1, you get +1 upgrade point and +1 stat of choice. We'll go with cunning for now. Don't worry, I would never dream of making Asta smart, but you'll see why I put it there in just a bit. You also get 3 gene slots and powerful being, which gives you +1 to all of your stat caps, meaning your stats will cap at 16 instead of 15. We also get a stack of magic resistance. This lets you select a spell school that you just inherently take -5 damage from. Your first fight was against that bronze magic guy, so we'll go with Geomancy. You also get spell resistance, which is a more general magic resistance that means whenever someone tries to cast a non-attack type spell on you that you have to make a success or challenge roll for, you get +5 to that roll, which basically means you're really hard to pin down in an illusion or bind with magical chains. Next from our race, we also get Myth Sense, which is like Asta's Ki Sense. You can make a cunning versus cunning roll against a target in order to learn how much myth they have, what alignment alignment they are and their character level. And then you get the coolest feature of the Netherman, Well of Anti-Magic. This ability makes it so that when you take magic damage, you can say nope and reduce that amount of damage by an amount of myth you spend. I know myth is magic energy and Asta isn't supposed to have magic energy, but you can just call this his anti-magic or his ki or whatever else you want to justify it as. Can Asta do this in the show? Kind of? We've seen him get hit by attacks plenty of times, but most of the time he's able to slice any magic coming at him apart. So just reflavor your anti-magic well as him cutting apart magic before it hits him. And our next racial feature, Null Aura, also helps with that, as it makes it so that when other people try to use Myth Sense on you, they can't sense anything at all, which effectively means they think you have zero myth. And lastly, you also get Anti-Magic Blood and True Neutral, which are very fun and flavorful, but ultimately just ribbons and not important to this build. So if you want to know more about them, then you can go check out the beta material from the website. For spell schools, you get Nethermancy and Kleptomancy. Nethermancy is the anti-magic spell school, and Kleptomancy is like stealing magic, so taking away other people's physical attributes and giving them to yourself. And for talents, you automatically get Arcana or Survival level 1, we'll go with Survival. This gives you a +5 bonus to rolls involving camping-esque things for chosen terrain, we'll go with Forest. And then you get another upgrade toward a talent of choice, we'll go with Will to Live level 1. That'll give us +5 to bonuses to life-saving rolls, which is the roll you make to figure out if your character is dead or just unconscious when your HP reaches 0 or lower. And then finally, we get to Asta's kit. First off, we get Blade Wielder level 1. This will give us a level 1 in all Blade Wielder weapons, which is perfect for your large blade that you usually wield. Next, this is early Asta, so you don't have much going for you other than your physical prowess. So we'll grab Body Enhancement level 1. And then we'll grab the Nethermancy spell Negative Energy Strike level 1. For 10 myth and a passive action, this spell coats your attacks in anti-magic for 1 turn, making it so they can't be blocked by block-type spells or weapons made by magic, and magical weapons that attempt this are just instantly destroyed. You also ignore any armor or protection square bonuses created by magic, and other objects like barriers, walls, and certain summonings are just instantly destroyed by your attacks. It's about as bonkers broken as it is in the show. Moving up to the end of Tier 1, by this level you have been accepted into the Magic Knights, you've cleared your first mission, and you made it through the dungeon arc. By this level you'll get +20 HP, +40 myth, 21 +4 upgrade points from Nethermancy bonuses, and 4 +4 stat points from, again, Netherman bonuses. We'll go ahead and put 2 stat points into Speed, Power, Skill, and Heart. And we'll also get another +4 magic resistance stacks from our race. We'll put 1 into Hexmancy since we defeated that one chain guy user that one time. And then the remaining 3 into Geomancy because we had to fight that guy from the Diamond Kingdom that literally used diamond magic. This means that when hit by a Geomancy spell, we'll automatically take 15 less damage. First things first, you work out a lot, so we'll get our body enhancement gene up to level 3. That'll give us another +2 speed, power, and skill. Next, we really need access to some other spell schools, so we'll grab Implanted Spell Crystal level 1. This gene will give us access to 3 specialty, spiritual, or elemental spell schools of choice, or affinities of choice. We'll pick up Miromancy and Chronomancy, and we'll throw 1 affinity into Nethermancy. This will make it so all Nethermancy spells cost 3 less myth. Anti-magic is kinda your thing. Next, we need to juice up our Demon Slayer's sword, so we'll go ahead and max out our swordsmanship skills with Large Blade level 5. That'll give us a better chance to hit and more damage. We'll also pick up the Mirrormancy spell Reflect. By spending a counter and making a reaction, you can use this block type spell. If the block succeeds, you get to reflect your opponent's attack right back at them and it auto hits. This is probably the best block type spell in the game, but requiring a counter means that you'll have to spend a passive action in order to prep the said counter ahead of time. We'll also up our negative energy strike to level 3. This will make it so that whenever we hit an opponent with one of our amped attacks, it'll delete 30 of their myth points, and that's a pretty hefty amount of myth energy to just lose. After that, we'll pick up Lasting Amplification. This will make it so that whenever we cast an amplification spell, you can choose to spend an action instead of a passive action, and you can spend an extra +3 myth in order to make the spell last until the end of combat instead of just the end of the turn. So you'll be shredding through magical barriers and people's myth pools all the time, and that's nice and all, but we need our sword attacks to do more than just anti-magic stuff. We need them to deal damage. So we'll grab the Growth Elemental Specialist level 2. This growth grants our attacks +10 damage so long as we only have one amplification spell active. And then we'll grab Two-Handed Fighting Style level 2 so long as we are only using one weapon at a time, namely our Greatsword. You get +2 offense, +2 defense, +8 damage, and that should be enough to knock out the Diamond Jerk. Moving on up to tier 2, by this point you've helped defend the capital from an invading horde of zombies, battled against some of the members of the Midnight Sun, and survived an encounter against Veto, the really powerful beast despair guy. By this level you get +25 HP, +50 myth, 27 +5 upgrade points, your first stack of overcharge, and 5 +5 stat points. We'll put 2 into speed, power, and skill, and then we'll put the remaining 4 into heart. You're really passionate about, well, everything. You're kind of obnoxious. Seriously considered giving this kid Echomancy just to amplify his screaming ability. But anywho, next during this time period you got your Demon Dweller Sword, which has the ability to eat magic before sending it right back at opponents. We'll do this by picking up the Beta Kleptomancy spell Absorb Magic. When this block type spell succeeds against a spell attack, you not only keep the attack from hitting you, but you absorb the spell as a stored attack. You can then spend a counter or a passive action in order to throw the spell right back at your opponent, and it will have the same chance to hit and the same effects. You can store up to 3 spell attacks in this way. But wait, there's more, cause this spell can also block weapon attacks if the weapon is boosted by an amp spell. If that's the case, after blocking the attack, you deactivate their amplification and then you can cast that spell yourself on your next turn by spending a passive action. Finally, if you block a spell attack with this spell, you regain an amount of myth equal to the amount of myth spent by your opponent before affinities. And then we don't just need to eat magic with our new sword, we need to actually use it. So first we'll pick up Medium Blade level 5. Blade Wielder goes up to level 3 and so covers the first 3 levels of this weapon, and so we only have to spend 2 upgrade points for it. We'll also grab Dual Wielding. This will let you wield 2 weapons at a time. You won't get your Two-Handed Fighting Style bonus while doing this, but you'll get the dual wielding bonuses instead. Asta kinda does both fighting styles. Next, during this time you learned how to use Ki, which is why we picked up Chronomancy during level 1. We'll represent the 6th sense you get from Ki with the spell Future Sight level 3. This spell costs a passive action and 10 myth and costs another 10 myth each upkeep. But it gives you a +2 bonus to all success in challenge rolls, and it gives you an extra roll each time you roll as well. This means that you get to roll 2 dice and then pick the highest one. And then Asta really isn't buff enough for me yet. So we'll grab the Gene Omni Enhancement level 2. That'll give us +2 to all of our stats, making us a moderately intelligent human being. And then we'll also grab Awakening Gene level 3, that'll grant us 7 stat points we can place wherever we want. We'll do a +1 in speed, power, and skill, and then we'll put +3 into heart. So far I've been pretty focused on his physical traits, but Asta's greatest strength is probably his iron will. From here we have a speed stat of over 10, so we'll grab Godly Speed. This will convert our passive action into an action. Keep in mind that a normal action can do anything that a passive action can do, but it can also do the stuff like move or attack, so you can run really fast or hit the baddie with a lot of attacks. We'll also grab Super Strength. This grants our melee attacks +10 damage and gives us a +10 bonus to power, success, and challenge rolls. You do like a bajillion push-ups daily, so you are really strong. And then we'll get Running Attack level 1. This allows us to spend only one action to make a movement and then attack. We can only do this once per turn, but it makes it so you can just blitz opponents and hit them without having to worry about wasting action economy on paltry things like closing the distance between you. After that, we'll also grab Dance of Attacks level 1. By spending 2 actions, you can attack 3 times in a row, which means you can potentially attack 4 times in a row if we had a stationary target. And finally, we'll get Counter Expert level 1 to help us with our reflect spells. Once per day when we don't have a counter prep, but we want to use an ability that uses one anyway, we can just gift ourselves a counter. After that, we're heading on up to the end of Tier 3. By this point, you've been through the Witch's Forest arc, a tournament arc, a training arc, and you've battled the likes of Liched and even dealt the final blow against a devil. By this level, you'll get +25 HP, +50 myth, +1 stack of overcharge, 28 upgrade points, and 5 additional stat points. We'll go with 1 speed, 1 power, 2 skill, and 1 heart. From our race, we'll also get 3 more spell schools, which it really doesn't matter what you choose, but we'll go with Pyromancy because you have a burning passion in your heart, Holymancy because like a true shonen protagonist, you are a shining example to everyone, and Hypnomancy because you are putting the charm on those ladies and collecting those subs. Except for the nun, who is the only one you actually want, but also the only one you can't convince to like you, because she's a nun. We all want what we can't have, buddy, but you should choose Mimosa instead. She's basically the Hinata of this series. And then we'll immediately juice those stats up higher with the growth's improved speed level 1 and improved power level 1. You are an absolute unit, you need to have the stats of an absolute unit. It's also during this time that you get in touch with the devil who's just been hanging out in your book this whole time and learn how to use your demon mode. We'll represent this with the gene transformation level 2. I was really tempted to go with the alter ego gene on this one, but Asta only loses control of himself in this form for like an episode in the Witch's Forest and like part of the fight against Dante. The rest of the time he's completely in control. And then B is I'd also have to give him the Nephilim gene to explain the one wing thing, which would be costly, give us a bunch of spell schools we don't really need, and would be kinda messy with our stats. So transformation's just a better way to do it. This gene will give us the spell Special Transformation level 2. By spending 2 actions and 30 myth, this will grant us +3 to all of our stats and 10 customization points until the end of combat. Customization points are like upgrade points that we only have access to while in our transformation. They can also be used on special upgrades that the gene itself offers as options. We'll go with Special Mobility first and select Flying, put that one wing to use. We'll also give ourselves Magical Might. That'll grant us an extra stack of overcharge while in our demon form. This form is really powerful and it packs a punch. And then we'll grab Special Speed, Power, and Skill to grant us another +1 to the corresponding stat while in this form. Next, we pretty much hit all of our important milestones, so let's focus on beefing up what we already have. So first we'll grab Durable level 5. This will grant us an extra +50 HP cause you are a tanky little thing. And then because we've got a power stat of at least 15, we'll grab Iron Body, which will grant us another plus 25 HP and plus 5 to our protection score permanently. Next, you are very spirited, so we'll grab you Spiritual level 5. That'll grant us plus 50 myth. I know, Asta has no magic at all, we're already cheating, but she got a lot of something, and this basically functions as an extra HP bar at this point, so slash more magic attacks. Next, we'll get Counter Expert level 3 so we can gift ourselves a counter 3 times a day instead of only just 1. And then how about we get Overdrive level 3? You are known for pushing yourself past your limits. This lets you spend some of your HP in order to grant yourself an extra turn. You can only do this 3 times a day and only once per turn. The HP cost starts at 10, but then goes up by plus 5 each time you use it. But that's okay, you've got like a lot of HP and healers on your team, so it'll work out fine. And finishing this build off with another 4 levels will make it to late 4th tier with level 19. By this point, you've gone through another training arc in the Heart Kingdom and you fought alongside Captain Yami and defeated King Dante. By this level, you'll get another 20 HP, 40 myth, 20 upgrade points, plus 1 stack of overcharge, the epic status, meaning you can pick stuff up with the epic title in its tag, plus 5 to all of your stat caps, and 4 stats. We'll just put 1 point into all the stats we care about. Next, we need some blade beams, and though the anti-magic slashes you use with the Demon Dweller and the giant sword swing you use with the Demon Slayer both look pretty different, they basically amount to the same thing. You swing your sword and you hit something really far away. So we're gonna pick up the spell technique Extended Strike level 1. So long as you have an amplification spell active, like your Negative Energy Strike, you can spend 2 actions and 10 myth in order to make an attack with your sword that deals an extra plus 3 damage and travels in a 120 foot long, 5 foot wide line. Next, we'll pick up Transformation at level 3 cause you've gotten better at that form by now. This will give us another plus 1 to all of our stats while in the form and 5 customization points, which we'll talk about later. We'll then grab Body Enhancement level 4, cause during this time period you got really swole. That'll grant us another 1 speed, power, and skill. We'll also grab Awakening Gene level 4 for another 2 stats. How about we put them both into Heart? And then we'll also grab Improved Power level 2, cause just look at this man! Look at that beefcake! After that, we're gonna spend our remaining 10 points and 5 customization points to grab the ultimate spell Magic Eraser level 3. Because we spent customization points on it, we can only use this spell while in our special transformation, and we can also only use it once per day because it is a powerful ultimate spell. Think of this spell as you using either your Demon Destroyer Blade or your Demon Slashing Katana. Both of those seem to be like 1 shot, 1 kill, or like 1 magic erasing effect. But what this spell does is you spend a passive action and 50 myth, and the next attack that you land will deactivate all lasting and maintained spells that your opponent has cast and will cause their myth to drain to 0. This is perfect for those times when Asta just nails a perfect slash on a bad guy and then they are just out for the count. And that's the build. So how did we do? Well, pretty darn good. The only thing we didn't really get Asta was his flying sword, which would have meant going into Psymancy, which probably would have meant getting the Psychic Gene, which really doesn't suit Asta. We also didn't necessarily get anything specific for his anti-magic arm, but the effects that it gives is really already covered by Negative Energy Strike anyways. But what we did get him was some sick anti-magic skills. This man carves through mages and can potentially wipe out an entire myth pool in 1 slash. He is also really tanky with a ton of HP and a ton of myth, which basically functions as more HP against magic users. And then finally, he's got some really solid stats between his high base stats and his transformation. If I had had more points, I probably would have juiced his base stats up even higher, but hey, there's a movie coming out in 2023, and if this video gets enough views and comments, I might just do an updated build on him. So yeah, if you liked this video, you know what to do. Smash that like button, subscribe, share it with all your friends, make a blood sacrifice to the YouTube algorithm, the usual stuff. You can still download a free PDF version of the game and the current expansion material as of the recording of this video. And if you want a group to play with, join our Discord and Facebook groups. We'll find a spot for you in one of our games. And with that, my beautiful weebs, peace.